for the sixth and final stop of the International Skating Union's Grand Prix of Figure Skating. There, shots of the Yangtze River, where tours are taken in this incredible city. Spectacular number of huge buildings in what has become one of China's biggest and largest cities, which the skaters competing here have been amazed to see. And there we descend ever closer to the Huaxi Cultural and Sports Center, which is the home now for the skaters competing at this 2024 Cup of China event. Quite phenomenal state-of-the-art facility that opened 6 years ago at a staggering cost of over $500 million US. The arena, which has hosted the likes of the World Table Tennis Championships, it's been a perfect backdrop to some phenomenal skating yesterday on the first day of competition in this venue. We look ahead now to the start of the second day of competition, which will open with the ice dance free dance. And the significance of this final event, all the more pertinent because it will decide which of the top 6 teams will qualify to compete at the Grand Prix final, which takes place in Grenoble in France in 2 weeks' time. And this very arena, now showcasing some of its state-of-the-art facilities, hosted the Cup of China back in 2019, 2020, last year, and now again on this occasion. The Chinese Figure Skating Federation operating at an incredibly slick running, which is so appreciated by the officials and the skaters. We look ahead now, as the screen tells us, to the free dance section of the ice dance competition. Chance to see whether or not Charlene Guinard and Marco Fabri can come away with redemption following their disappointing skate in France and Angers in their first Grand Prix assignment. There, Ziji Zhao and Ling Haohe will open the competition. Opportunity for the 2 Chinese teams to get some Grand Prix experience as host nation picks. And then further down, based on the results of the rhythm dance yesterday, we see Marjorie Lajoie and Zachary Legat contending one of the other 2 spots still available at the Grand Prix final. And there are some names that we often see in the judges and the officials. These are all officials who have devoted so much of their life to supporting the skaters, and the level of education that the officials and the technical panel must go through in order to officiate over an event of this standing is intense. Assessments for the judges continuously under review, with the Official Athletes Commission spotting the work of the judges in helping the skaters and defining the optimal results and the justified results for each of the skaters. As we see Lucia Demojo and Théo Lemercier, and there Caroline Green and a very smiley looking Michael Parsons getting ready to be introduced to this arena. And the first ice dance team, Ziji Zhao and Ling Haohe, followed by fellow Chinese ice dance team Junfei Ren and Jianing Jing. And then to the Georgian team of Diana Davis and Gleb Schmolken. And then to Lucia Demojo and Théo Lemercier, with the final team from the United States of America, Caroline Green and Michael Parsons. So now the skaters utilize their 5-minute warm-up time before the competition gets underway. We start with this, the ice dance event, followed by the women's competition, then to the men's singles and finishing proceedings with the pairs event as we see Xiji Zhao and partner Ling Haohe. And here, good chance to see the backwards crossovers from the team as they warm up. And here, even with this team who are the lowest ranked of the couples coming into this event, you can see the appreciation for the glide and the flow that the ice dancers most notably have. And from their warm-up, they will start to work through the elements for their 4-minute free dance. 3 different types of short lift, or a short lift and a combination lift, part of the requirements for the ice dancers in the free dance competition. As we look now to Junfei Ren and Zhaning Jing.
He's a former national junior champion with a former partner, while she also skated with 2 other partners before coming together as a new ice team. They are in 9th place after the rhythm dance. Let's welcome from People's Republic of China, Ren Junfei and Xi Jiangming.
Junfei Ren and Zhaning Jing just being mindful of the traffic on the warm-up to ensure no collisions. Everybody's so eager to make sure that they work through the elements of their free dance, but needing to be very careful, as you can see. Very consciously checking the ice as they work through the 1-foot turns. That another required element that this team, Diana Davis and Gleb Schmalkin, also working on now. 4 different difficult turns to be done on 1 foot, often concluding with the twizzle, as we saw from Diana and Gleb there. The Georgian champions will be disappointed to find themselves in 8th of the 10 teams after the rhythm dance. They had a bit of a mistake in the twizzles.
Representing Georgia, let's welcome Diana Davis and Gleb Schmalkin.
They envision Diana in this free dance as embodying Medusa and turning everyone into stone. It's interesting to see what unfolds for their free dance to come as they're the 3rd team onto the ice. And now the 4th team to compete in this group, Louisia Demojo and Theo Lemercier. Louisia and Theo competed at the Cup of China in this arena last year. And they said how much they enjoyed this incredible facility and glad to be back.
They are in 7th place after the rhythm dance. Please welcome from France, Louisia and Theo Lemercier.
Louisia and Theo skated well in the rhythm dance, but they will be keen to push up in contention with those above them. They were just outside of the top 10 at the World Championships in Montreal, and now find themselves just falling behind some of those that have usurped them on this occasion. But the ice dance competition is so closely contested. As we look to Caroline Green and Michael Parsons. This team continuing to make the return from the surgery that Michael had in the off-season. And following the rhythm dance, they were just acknowledging how happy they are to be here performing, and also very mindful and conscientious of where they are in their preparations. This is just their 3rd event of the season. They are the 2023 national silver medalists and are in 6th place after the rhythm dance. Please welcome, representing the United States of America, Caroline Green and Michael Parsons. And all that said, despite their awareness of staying injury-free and being courteous to the injury that Michael had, they will be keen to push to move up as well. Olivia Smart and Tim Deek, the Spanish team, are just above Caroline and Michael. They're less than half a point above them after the rhythm dance. And indeed, Tim referenced this event as almost a mini Olympics, with so many strong teams competing here on this final stop of the Grand Prix series. So the first warm-up complete of the day.
Representing the People's Republic of China.
And time for us to watch the first free dance performance. Ziyi Zhao and Ling Haohe from the home nation. And they will be skating to the familiar and ever popular Romeo and Juliet soundtrack.
Toutes les histoires commencent pareil. Rien de nouveau sous la lune.
Pour qu'une étoile s'éteigne, il faut qu'une autre s'allume.
What a shame. A fall within the just after the choreo assisted jump element.
Toutes les histoires commencent pareil.
Rien de nouveau sous la lune. Voici celle
De Roméo.
et Juliette.
Vous qui croyez avoir tout vu, vous qui avez voyagé, qui avez lu, vous que plus rien jamais n'étonne, bienvenue à Vérone. Que sur ici, c'est comme ailleurs, les hommes ne sont ni pires ni meilleurs. Et vous qui venez chez nous ce soir, par erreur ou par hasard, vous êtes à Vérone, la belle Vérone, la ville où tout le monde se déteste. On pourrait partir mais on reste. Ici c'est pas l'amour qui est roi, ici deux familles font la loi. Pas besoin de choisir ton camp, on l'a fait pour toi il y a longtemps. Vous êtes à Vérone, Vérone, vous êtes à Vérone.
Aimer, c'est ce qu'il y a de plus beau. Aimer, c'est monter si haut. Toucher les ailes des oiseaux. Aimer, c'est ce qu'il y a de plus beau. C'est ce qu'il y a de plus beau. C'est monter si
Well, the death for Juliet at the end of that Romeo and Juliet performance for the Chinese ice dance team of Ziyi Zhao and Ling Haohe. They did very well to recover from the disappointment of the fall at the early stage of the program. So hard to continue in the free dance, knowing that a mistake has been made early on, and this team will be eager to move back above Junfei Ren and Jianing Jing, the team next to compete, having beaten them in Nice last month at one of the Challenger Series events. They were third at that competition, but that's not the ideal skate for the team that are opening the ice dance event. And the reason that they find themselves behind the fellow Chinese team based on their technical element score. So there were 9 technical elements in the free dance, more opportunity to push a tech score, as we see Zhiji Zhao being very mindful and conscientious there of clearing the ice for her compatriots yet to skate. She takes an armful of cuddly toys off the ice with her. Good to hear Pascal Denis, one of their coaches, saying good recovery following that disappointing early start. Here you can just see mismatch in their tracking. It was Zhiji Zhao who just took the feet from underneath Ling Haohe. What freak accident that unlikely to ever happen in practice, but the pressure of the competition and the adrenaline and the nerves is taking them off track and alignment from one another, and hence the mistake. Here you see the jump entry into the twizzles. If they're going for the connection of the arms as one of their features, a little bit late to assume that position, so not sure if the technical panel will give them that feature. As we see the jump entry, that one of the level features into the rotational lift. Be pushing through 6 rotations to achieve the level 4 for Ling Haohe. And here a curve lift, change of position, and then choosing to do a combination lift, so 2 different curve lifts. The ice dance teams have the opportunity to take either one combination lift and a short lift, or 3 short lifts. Zhiji Zhao and Ling Haohe electing for the combo. And that the most valuable of the 9 elements for this team, over 10.5 points on that one element. As Zhiji shows off some of the plushies or stuffies thrown on for her. We saw such incredible support for Boyang Jin in the men's event yesterday, the home nation skater who was showered with gifts from the audience here. So Zhiji just saying to Coach Pascal Denis, 92 or 93 is the reference point for them in terms of the score they're hoping to achieve or improve upon, but obviously the mistake made doesn't just take off a mandatory 1-point deduction. Any fall in the ice dance event takes a 1-point mandatory deduction, but it will have, of course, an impact on the program component score. So the judges' input for skating skills, presentation and composition. And the delay in the scores, perhaps because 5 of the 9 elements were reviewed by the technical panel. Chance for them, they are allowed to have a second look at what was delivered to review the level that they assigned to each of those elements. But the score is finally input, and Zhiji Zhao and Ling Haohe from China receive a long pause.
Zhao Zixi and He Linghao have earned a total
Well, the judges and the technical team have established it's just 86.2. They've actually had a personal best of 95.06, so a little disappointing for the team. But lots of learning opportunity now for them as they hopefully go backstage to watch some of the world's best yet to skate.
representing People's Republic of China.
And now to the second and the final Chinese ice dance team competing in Chongqing today, Junfei Ren and Zhanning Jing. And they will perform to the music Silver Linings and An Isolated Moment. Clean lines and good extension to open the program as they work through the 1-foot turns. Checking the rotations and the twizzles a little bit for Junfei. That could drop the level. Like so many of the teams, Junfei and Zhanning choosing to do a choreographic character step sequence as one of their 3 required choreographic elements. This offers the team the chance to really showcase their expression and presentation. Well, following the choreo character step, there was great speed through the choreographic lift element chosen to conclude the program for Junfei Ren and Zhaneng Jing. And there's a great opportunity to see the difference between rhythm dance and free dance. Yesterday's performances for all the teams had to be upbeat and with high-rooted energy. This stark contrast to that some of the element restrictions in the rhythm dance prevent the same ice coverage and speed, and certainly Junfei and Zhaneng showcasing more freedom in their pattern within the composition of that free dance. And also really mindful of the commitment to the extension of the team. Long-limbed legs and bodies to create big shape across the ice. And I think that will be comfortably enough to secure them the leading Chinese team status at this event, the Cup of China 2024. You can see immediately the open posture that they have at the start of the program, and here too with the 1 foot turns and mindfulness of the free foot extension. As we see them take the stationary lifts, so different options: rotational lifts, stationary lifts, curved lifts, straight line lifts. Lots of options for the teams to choose from in regards to the elements that they have. Station lift was a success. However, here on the twizzles, you can just see a stop in the rotation for Junfei within that second twizzle, and that's why she is currently having that reviewed by the technical panel, coming in at a level 3 as opposed to the expected level 4. However, this dance spin was brilliant, changing music as they started that element and showcasing a good example of change of direction. So impressed by Zhaneng Jing. The catch of the free foot as the difficult entry wasn't optimal, and he seamlessly and quickly re-established the position to make the lift work. As we look now at the choreographic lift. So this choreographic element doesn't have a level assigned to it. It will come in at a 1.1 value. All of the choreographic elements will achieve a 1.1 value, and that will be shaped by the grade of execution, and they had an extra 2 points added for that element. So 94.87, a little shy of their personal best, but significantly they move into the lead ahead of Zhao and He, which is a team they were behind in Nice at the Trophy Metropole last month. And now to the Georgian team, Diana Davis and Gleb Schmocken. And the free dance choreography by Marie-France Debreu is to showcase Diana as Medusa, and how she turns every man other than her partner to stone. Just a wonderfully difficult entry into the twizzles. really pushing the grades of execution in the choreographic element.
This is the springtime of my life, the second season I am to know.
Pretty open transition in terms of difficulty to lead into the curve lift.
So little warmth I felt before. It isn't hard to feel me glowing. I watch the fire that grows so
Great overhead shot to look at the quality and the depth of edges through the step sequence.
Hey, mama said the way you move gon' make you sweat, gon' make you groove.
Georgia's Diana Davis and Gleb Schmalkin. Husband and wife team share a kiss at the end of their free dance. And so many wonderfully difficult transitional pieces, even within the elements. Some of the judging criteria for the good grade of execution is to have innovation and our creativity. And I thought that the choreographic slide, the fourth element, was a wonderful example of that. And also the choreographic lift, the penultimate element in the program, again showcasing a creativity. And the sport of ice dance has been around for a long time, so whenever a team can establish some creative movement, it's a huge coup to their commitment to stepping away from the rest of the crowd. I don't think that the skating skills are as strong as that of the teams which you're likely to see ahead, so there isn't as much knee action or flow. But I think just hearing their new coaching staff from the Ice Academy in Montreal acknowledging this better than the rhythm dance. No visible mistakes today as we see the entry into the stationary lift. So Gleb working to get low enough to have that called as a difficult feature. As to the split position for Diana, leading then into a rotation lift where you could really see him working his right forward inside edge to push the rotation across the ice. And that, again, yeah, that was brilliant. This year the teams have to choose different Group C features for the Twizzles, and that was such an innovative, difficult example of just that. Chance to view it again. How they consider that as the choice of transitional entry must have surely created a lot of practice time as we see the curve lift. And I thought that entry into the curve lift was relatively open and free, meaning it's easier to create speed. But here we can see not open and free in the hold here now, close in the transitional content within the holds there, which is so much more difficult to do. This was the choreographic lift, and again, unique movement, difficult movement. Just wonder what has been the inspiration for that choice of transitional content. Really cool.
The scores, please.
So the team were fourth at Skate America, the first stop of the Grand Prix. They would have been hoping to be in medal contention at this event.
We don't get upset, right? No.
They've had a personal best of 1:21.55, and it's 1:11.79 for Diana and Gleb.
2.32 points and are currently in first place.
德鲁吉亚组合戴安娜·戴维斯和格莱布斯·沃尔金最五的分为111.79
They make a comfortable lead, of course,
32分，目前暂列第一位。
that they want to be moving upward as we look to the next team. Lucia Demojo and Théo Lemercier.
Loisio Demojo and Théo Lemercier.
And Lucia and Théo will skate to Giselle and Bleeding Souls. Difficult entry of choice at this event so far into the straight line lift. Turning their feature from the rhythm dance as a stationary lift into a rotational lift in the free dance.
Hallelujah, et Adonai kol goyim shabachu kol haomin ki gavar
Choreo slide, a great innovation.
Hallelujah.
Well, an incredibly solid free dance from the French ice dance team. Louisia de Moggio and Théo Lemercier. Really solid outing, showcasing the best skating skills that we've seen of the event so far. A greater appreciation for the depth of edge and the clarity of their footwork. But such an intense competition, and like the Georgians before them, Louisia and Theo will have been looking to be higher in the rankings. They were 4th in both of their Grand Prix events in 2022, 5th in their Grand Prix events both last year in 2023, including in Chongqing, China at this event. And yet they come into the competition now lower ranked with an eagerness to push up in the standings, but the event is so deep in its quality and its caliber. Coach Karine Haribert and choreographer of this free dance, Benoit Richaud, greets them off the ice. Here, working through the 1-foot turns with storytelling designed through the arm movements. And here, there, you can see the depth of the knee, and they have a wonderful understroke. Their crossovers, the way that they take the underneath push, just such good quality of technique there. And here we see that rotational lift. The teams cannot use the same features in their lifts between the rhythm dance and the free dance. So this positioning turning into rotational, which was a stationary lift yesterday. And this, by virtue of the hands touching the ice, is defined as a choreographic slide movement. Some might think of it as a lift, but it goes into the system as a choreo slide, and it's wonderful. Of the blade feature as they work through the 4 rotations and that forward inside edge part of the twizzles. Just look at the commitment to the presentation. Presentation component score for the Georgian team that lead thus far is mid-8s, around 8.43 from the judges. This going in at 8.29. Actually lower skating skills. For me, I can understand the presentation being higher for the Georgian team. I find that the skating skills of Louisia and Theo stronger. Irrespective of how they're differentiated, these teams are really high caliber, and ice dance is so deep in its quality this season. So it's a 1.73, 0.06 of a point different in the free dance to that of the Georgians. And they're confirming though that Louisia de Moggio and Théo Lemercier continue to lead, but they are eager to move above the next team. And this team were 1 place above them at the NHK Trophy. Caroline Green and Michael Parsons. And this free dance, a contemporary piece, Dance Me to the End of Love, and the choreographer Jean-Luc challenged them to dive into more of who they are and who they want to become on and off the ice.
Dance me to your beauty with a
Such poignancy in the musical phrasing or lack of music for the combination lift.
panic till I'm gathered safely in. Lift me like an olive branch and be my homeward dove. Dance me to the end of love. Dance me to the children who are asking to be born. Dance me through the curtains that our kisses have outworn. Raise a tent of shelter now, though every thread is torn. Dance me to the end of love.
I suspect the technical panel would love to see this shot to be able to decide which of those turns in the step sequence are clean for the level.
Dance me to your beauty with a burning violin. Dance me through the panic till I'm gathered safely in. Touch me with your naked hand or touch me with your glove. Dance me to the end of love. Dance me to the end of love.
A haunting piece of music for the free dance for Caroline Green and Michael Parsons as their coach Tanith White applauds them from the side of the ice. And really interesting to see the approach that the team have taken with this choice of music. There must be a constant rhythmic beat throughout the free dance, apart from 10 seconds or so where you can have a deviation of that. But they're really pushing themselves as artists, you sense, and that was something that their choreographer Jean-Luc Baker was keen to exploit, trying to consider how this team wants to be seen and their medium as ice dancers. And of course, as we've mentioned throughout the Grand Prix, the standard of American ice dancers this season is ridiculously deep in its field, and only 3 teams will be able to represent America at the Home World Championships in Boston. Caroline and Michael obviously want to do that, having been World Championship competitors in 2023. But as Tana says, she knows that wasn't easy. You sense that they're wanting to push themselves as artists, not just solely fixated on the numbers of the competition.
Till I'm gathered safely in. Lift me like
Just a little out of sync in the twizzle within the 1 foot turns, and that synchronicity was also a little mismatched in the synchronized twizzle element as well. So that will be reflected in the judges' grade of execution. As we see the rotational lift, the change of pose, has to be 2 clear different pictures to achieve that level feature.
Who are asking to be born.
The difficult entry, this part of the choreographic character step sequence. And Michael described this free dance as a more personal piece, and both of the skaters looked definitely personally engaged and invested as you see them assume their finished position. So they spent a week in Osaka since the NHK Trophy. staying in Asia to train between events as they achieve a 1:14.23.
They have a combined total score of 189.86 points and are currently in first place.
Very similar to the score that they achieved 2 weeks ago.
114.23分，总得分为129.86分，目前暂列第一位。
谢谢 from Michael Parsons, thanking the Chinese audience as they take the lead above Demojo and Le Mercier as we head towards the final group in the ice dance competition. The first team to compete in this group, Olivia Smart and Tim Deek. And then to last week's bronze medal winners, Yulia Turkia and Matthias Versluis.
From the United States of America, Christina Carrera and Anthony Ponomarenko.
And then to Christina Carrera and Anthony Ponomarenko. And then to Marjorie Lajoie and Zachary Laga. And then to Charline Guinard and Marco Fabri. So 2 points separating each of the teams, and then a 3-point margin for the leaders Charline Guinard and Marco Fabri. As we see Tim and Olivia, and already you can see an increase in speed on the teams on the ice now as opposed to that first warm-up group. And Olivia and Tim in the skating community seeming to get recognition for the best Dune program of the season, probably the most popular piece of music used in the skating community competitively this 2024-2025 season. And their rendition so popular when they achieved that bronze medal at Skate America. Yulia Turkia and Matthias Versluis, they were wonderful in the free dance last week at the Finlandia Trophy, and continuing to showcase progression even though the top standings in the World Championship seem to be locked out. This team not holding back from pushing themselves to try to break that stranglehold that some of the top teams have. As they take the right of way there between them and the Americans as they work through the step sequence. Talking of popular performances and choreography this season, Christina Carrera and Anthony Ponomarenko getting, whoa, oh gosh, high esteem for their Carmen. Ay, ay, ay. That's all too common, an incident that happens in the junior ranks. Surprising to see two senior teams that know each other well colliding, but the ice dance teams will be somewhat used to it. They will move on. They know how frightening an ice dance warm-up can be, with everybody, as you can see, traversing the ice, changing direction, operating at high speed. But Marjorie and Zachary just making sure they stay out of trouble, somewhat stay in their own lane. A team like Marjorie and Zachary, who are so experienced, who have been together for 13 years, know that this warm-up is not going to define their result. Staying safe will.
They are the 2020 World Junior Champions with the 2023 Bronze for Confidence Medal Junior Credit. They won
Marjorie and Zachary, Sound of Silence free dance.
They are in second place after the ribbon
Really special.
Canada. Please
As to costumes from Mathieu Caron. who's responsible for a lot of the costumes in this group. But talking of costumes, it is new costumes for Charlene Guinard and Marco Fabri at this event. When they competed in France, they used the same costume that they had when they performed this robot-inspired free dance as a gala exhibition piece. And as I said yesterday, they've not been shy and holding back from acknowledging that the Grand Prix de France in Angers free dance was the worst skate of their career. They said it was tough to come back from that, but the rhythm dance yesterday started bringing back the positive vibes that they've come to expect as a competitive team. So much experience.
Skaters, there's 1 minute remaining in the warm-up.
You can see there between Christina and Anthony, just this warm-up, the collision, the fall, just changes the energy and the dynamic for the teams. They will all have shared the ice earlier today in practice, and indeed many of them share the ice in training. So many of them coming from the stable of coaches that you see on the screen now. Pascal Denis and Patrice Lauzon, as the Ice Academy of Montreal coaching staff take it in turns to travel to the different Grand Prix events. So whilst Olivia and Tim catch their breath, we see Yulia Turkia showcasing the flow and glide that pushes into the 8s in the skating skills. They want to be getting into the 9s as their partner works through the transition between the first and the second twizzle.
Skaters, this concludes the warm-up. Would you please clear the ice?
So the warm-up is over, and we look forward to Olivia and Tim's performance. And Olivia has been so wonderfully vocal about the need to create positive support of the skaters online. She acknowledging that all the skaters will be mindful of a world that we live in where social media gives comments that aren't always supportive. And Olivia championing for the skaters around the world the need to be supportive. As I say, this free dance garnered so much appreciation and respect in the skating community, hoping to repeat or better their performance than they achieved in Skate America. So much more matched now. Olivia and Tim still a relatively new team, but every leg extension aligned. Well, what a piece this is. The free dance for Olivia Smart and Tim Deek. As I say, so many people choosing to use the Dune soundtrack this season. But there's something quite captivating about the way that Olivia and Tim are embracing the concept. Challenging piece of music to use. Obviously, it builds brilliantly at the end. As you see the scratch on the back of Olivia from the fall that took place in the warm-up as they collided with Carrera and Ponomarenko. I'm so aware of the work that must have been done on their technique to match up. This team have had success with previous partners, as I said yesterday in the rhythm dance, both Olympians with their former partners, a relatively new pairing. And this season, in their second competitive season together, you see the match between them stylistically so much better, and still finding themselves and finding their niche and the voice that they want to have in the sport. And this is an inspired choice that I think will really help them to ascend. 19th at last year's World Championships based on mistakes made in Montreal, but putting himself in contention for a huge jump in the standings this season. This is the stationary lift into rotational lift. Difficult transitional movement, connecting with free leg rather than with arms. I thought Olivia had a little wobble here on, she had to work really hard there in that right forward outside twizzle. It's been reviewed. This is just brilliant. Directly opposite the judges. And again, looking for those grades of execution. So trying to showcase that this is smooth or effortless, or the element enhances the choreography and or character of the chosen music. That lift as with the choreo lift at the end of the program utterly do. It's interesting. There's not always a huge discrepancy in the judges across the three different program components. Normally the skating skills, presentation and composition stay within a fairly narrow corridor, but currently the judges have pushed the composition of this free dance into the 9s out of 10, and that is a significant statement by the judges about their appreciation for this piece of work. So they had a 118.45 when they competed on October 19th in Allen, Texas. Well, now you get to see a little bit of the real character, the real humans, and the excitement that's different to what we've just seen in the presentation of their Dune free dance. Olivia not holding back in excitement at a 120.56.
Representing Finland, Julia Turkila and Matthias Versuis.
And a very stark contrast now to the next free dance. Tango for Julia Turkia and Matthias Versuis. Look out for some brilliant musicality and nuance within this tango. Their proximity to one another through the 1 foot turn is just brilliant. Just at the closing seconds of the free dance, Yulia Turkia and Matthias Versluis just losing some of the incredible magic they had. Little tiny stumble at the end. How does that then sit in the brains of the judges as they come to compare that to Olivia Smart and Tim Deek? Other than that, up to that point, just a phenomenal example of intricacy. And the choreo character step, the step that ultimately has potentially let them down here, was another example of how close this team is when they skate together. That, so close and tight to one another, as to with the 1 foot turns and the twizzles. And that should play into some more of the criteria for the judges with positive grade of execution. It doesn't have the speed that we saw from the Spaniards, but the intricacy of holds should play into the composition as well. So much harder to create flow when skating in tight hold. It's a shame that we have to compare and contrast these in a competitive arena, because in isolation we're just being treated to such brilliance of artists and sports people. That the level of strength that Yulia has to possess in maintaining that high free leg extension in that lift is amazing. Matthias struggled a little through the twizzles. You could tell in the warm-up that as he was working through the prep for that, his brain space was conscious that that was the most potentially problematic element. This where this team excels, the grades of execution of their lifts. Having said that, making the constant comparison to the Spanish team, their GOE just slightly down on the Spanish team, but that because the stationary lift just came in at a level 3 as opposed to level 4, so something from the technical panel deemed not worthy of the level 4. This just divine. Look at the commitment to her, both of her legs. Yulia has done so much ballet training and she's able to exploit that in every stunning line that she makes. Here, I thought there was ever such a slight wobble just before, and you can see here even the dynamism of that penultimate position on her toes didn't have the same impact. And the choreographic elements, as I said before, come in at 1.1 base value for each and every one of those 3 choreographic elements in the senior free dance. It is all down to the grade of execution, and that can boost that score by up to 5 points extra.
Absolutely.
Maurizio Margalio just saying how fantastic this program is, but that choreographic element for this team coming in with a slight minus grade of execution as opposed to the 3 points extra that the Spanish team got with their element of the same vein. So last week, just 7 days ago, they were second. In fact, just 6 days ago, they were second in the free dance.
I think absolutely.
Finding the positives there, Yulia and Maurizio, but mistakes are costly, even if they're tiniest of stumbles. So 114.77, that final element makes all the difference as they move into second place. With Olivia Smart and Tim Deek moving up in the standings. Disappointing for the Finnish team. What a roller coaster they are on. Last week, jubilation. This week, frustration. And now to the first of the teams in the fight for the silver medal. Cristina Carrera and Antony Ponomarenko. There was question marks about this choice of music. Why would they choose a piece, the Carmen Suite, which has been so popularly used and repeatedly used before? But they very much have their own take, and it was very well received at the NHK Trophy. covering the ice well in the second twizzle. Christina Carrera and Anthony Ponomarenko from the United States of America. And there, her lipstick on his mouth, so committed, everything about it considered. Lipstick everywhere on the faces of the team. So invested. And they said that they have wanted to skate to Carmen for years, saving it for a time when they're ready. They will have known that choosing this will make that direct comparison with their coach, Scott Mauer, who so brilliantly expressed this with Tessa Virtue. The comparisons continue with Bestyaminova and Buchan, with Krylova of Zianakov, with teams that have used this piece to great acclaim in the past. But they do hold their own with it.
I know that doesn't transfer. It's 2024. There's lipstick that doesn't transfer, you know?
Madison Upple saying it's 2024. There's lipstick that doesn't stain. That's the first quote from the coach as they leave the ice. Lipstick on point at this point in the program. So you see the straight line left, and again another amazing display of the strength, the back muscles, the dorsal muscles having to work so hard to create that shape for Christina. Now, the concept here for this Carmen piece is we see the right inside bracket just changing edge ever so slightly. It's easy to understand and comprehend. How do the judges consider the embodiment of the Carmen character compared to the Dune interpretation that leads the field at this stage? And this, without mistake, unlike the Finnish team, comes down to each of those grades of execution. Now that was passionate intensity, but with a rationale behind it to push that presentation, as Madison Hubbell applauds them. And how wonderful to see Madison here, an Olympic medalist in 2022, and since then, congratulations on the safe arrival of our baby, and now back out in the field, in the trenches, working hard, pushing the next generation already so soon since the retirement from competition. There's Christina.
The scores, please.
Cuddles her panda. She went to the zoo in Chongqing a couple of days ago to see the pandas. Now she has a memory to take back. As we see a 1:18.96 second. The Spaniards still leading the free dance, but they have enough of a lead in a margin from the rhythm dance to come away with at least a bronze medal. As coach cleans the face of Anthony.
Representing Canada, Marjorie Lajoie and Zachary Laga.
And now to Marjorie Lajoie and Zachary Laga. The sound of silence. Another engaging free dance upcoming for the Canadian team. Marjorie Lajoie and Zachary Lagat just delivering the most emotive and rousing of free dances. The music, just the perfect backdrop for the build in emotion. So moving towards the end of that performance. And in terms of the contrast to that which we've seen, I think there's less novelty. There's same features of lifts that we've seen from the team before. There's not necessarily the unique movement that we saw even from maybe the Georgian team much earlier in the proceedings, but the quality of skating and the solidity of their skating, and the skating skills are characterized by the technique of skating and movement. Now, so many of these teams all have the same coaches, they train together, so their technique is the same. Marjorie and Zachary together longer than the others. We are seeing the product of all those years of refinement and match to build their skating skills to a stronger place than that of the others thus far in the competition. And this straight line left as Pascal looks on. The delicacy of the arm movements here, the left arm, the right arm from Marjorie, just so perfectly on point with the music, which ties into so many of those creative execution positive features. So we see Marjorie eyeballing Zachary through the twizzles to make sure he's matched as much as possible. And this, as I say, features that we've seen from the team in the past, but because there's no requirement on novelty season upon season, and perhaps because of the concussion that they endured, Marjorie and Zachary are sticking with some of the same features that they've had in the past within their choreography to guarantee level 4. But they have such a solid foundation of the skating skills, as I say, that they don't need gimmicks or novelty to move up. That a lift that we've seen, I think, first when they won the Junior World Championships in 2019. Just gorgeous. So they had a 1:22.56 when they competed at the Skate Canada International. And that a 1:23.63. Now that would have been a score that has won or led the field last week. So that's significant, and would have won the Grand Prix de France also. So continuing to try to put themselves in the mix for medals at the World Championships. Marjorie Lajoie and Zachary Lagat. Do as your coach says. Patrice says sit down. So 3 weeks ago, Charline Guinard and Marco Fabbri from Italy had the worst performance of their competitive career. Now, new costumes and hoping to showcase this robot-inspired free dance as worthy of being frontrunners this season. Taking the time to make the straight line lift work at this event. Well, stark contrast in the reaction to the end of the performance for Charlene and Marco. And so many of the skating community after the Grand Prix in France were lamenting this choice of the team. This team, Charlene Guinard and Marco Fabri, accepted fairly widely as being the best masters of their feat in regards to the top 3 in the world. And you sense that this choice, though, is because they want to be considered innovators as well. They've seen Chock and Bates win the last 2 world titles. Chock and Bates have had unique, innovative snake charmer free dances and alien-inspired free dances. And Charlene and Marco obviously wanted to push their boundaries a little bit and come up with something a little unique in this, the pre-Olympic season. And that bravery in choosing something different has to be recognised and rewarded, particularly perhaps in light of this time in the Olympic cycle closing out towards the end of their competitive careers. At 35 and 36 years of age, it's unlikely that they'll go beyond the next Olympic cycle. So they're pushing themselves as artists to think of different niche free dance choice. And at least today, it was delivered with a clean skate. The twizzles were a little sketchy, but things started so much better than they did in France, with the straight line lift being successful, whereas that was the beginning of the catalogue of disasters that they endured in Angers. I enjoyed the exhibition gala version of this with their own voiceover, where the AI concept, the robot concept was so clear. This a little bit more refined in its delivery and its music choice. As we see Marco just again struggling ever so slightly through the twizzles, and actually he dropping a level on his twizzles, a level 3 for Marco on this occasion. But so good to see Charlene and Marco looking so much more joyful and in the moment. Barbara Fusapoli, she looks intense at this point. Nope, she's happy. Good. Always with her stopwatch. As we get confirmation of their commitment on and off the ice, in performance and out of performance. So they want to be in contention with the likes of the 129 that Chock and Bates had, and the 128 that Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier had. Those are the biggest scores that we've seen from the other world medalists. It's 124.29. Barbara says va bene, but she's not going to let us see what she's saying now. But Coach Barbara Fusapoli will be making sure that now they've got a title, now they have a couple of weeks before they go up against the big guns. As Charlene Guinard and Marco Fabri book their spot at the Grand Prix final in Grenoble in 2 weeks' time, and they will be joined by Marjorie Lajoie and Zachary Lagat. Cristina Carrera and Anthony Ponomarico needed a silver in order to achieve that Grand Prix final participation. And there are the standings lower in the competition. So much diversity in the choices. We've seen from Romeo and Juliet to Carmen to Medusa to Dune to robot-inspired free dances from the winners, Guinard and Fabri. Now, the Italian flag will be raised highest at the victory ceremony later today. And also, it may be repeated as we look towards the next few events. The pairs event will be the final event on the second day of competition. And Sara Conti and Nicolo Macci lead the field after day 1 in the short program yesterday. Can they continue the winning streak started by Guinard and Fabri in the ice dance competition? As we see some more amazing shots getting treated to great broadcast production with a variety of different cameras. And indeed, it's been quite fascinating to see the cameras at work in the arena, not just what they're outputting and showing us on screen. as we get treated to an interview from the winners.
Ladies and gentlemen, here we have the ice dance champ presenting Italy, Schelling Guinard, Michael Fabry. Congratulations! 恭喜二位获得我们冰舞的冠军。现在能否跟我分享一下此刻获得冠军的感受 ？Congratulations, guys! You did a very amazing job by these 2 days. Could you tell us your feeling right now?
Now we are very, very tired, to be honest. And but we're very happy because our first Grand Prix didn't go the way we wanted to. We skated a bad free skate. Today it was a little bit better, but we're very happy.
他们感觉非常的开心，能够在重庆能够参加我们这个大奖赛，也很开心能够在这里获得冠军。OK。现场我们也是来的很多的你们的粉丝，有没有什么想跟我们中国冰迷说的 ？You know, guys here has a lot to your guys fans or the crowd amazing. So do you have something to say to the crowd, to Chinese fans?
Oh, the crowd was very, very fun and they helped us a lot. So thank you so much.
他们觉得我们现场重庆的观众非常的棒，也给他们很大的支持，感谢我们的重庆的观众。The last question， 最后一个问题呢，也是他们在我们的自由舞的比赛当中呢，也是有非常特别的表现。So guys, for your free dance, it was a really special one. So could you share us about the ideas you want to express?
Well, last year we had for a gala program a robot program. So from that program we created the idea of building a free dance, a more serious one, because last year it was a funny program. So I mean, it came from that idea, and I think that it's something new, something innovative for ice dance. So it was a fun process to create this program.
没错，他们之前在我们的表演赛当中有尝试过这样一个节奏的我们的比赛的我们的自由的表演，也是非常新的一个尝试。今天也很开心能够来到重庆进行比赛，让我们再次把掌声送给我们的意大利组合 ，Ladies and gentlemen, the Germany of Ice Dance.
And wonderful to hear from the winners, Guinard and Fabry, in the ice dance event, and how wonderful to see not just the fact that they are champions here, but the relief that they can exercise and put to rest any demons from that performance that they had at the Grand Prix de France in Angers 3 weeks ago. They will return to compete in France again in 2 weeks' time, where the final takes place in Grenoble. Carrera and Ponomarenko take a bronze medal to add to the silver that they had at the NHK Trophy. Not quite enough for them to take a trip to the final. They will be the first alternates. Lejoie and Zachary Lagat now have 26 points on the Grand Prix, 2 silver medals, 1 in Canada in their home nation and 1 from Chongqing. Their coach Pascal Denis applauds them through the Sound of Silence free dance. But it is gold for Charline Guinard and Marco Fabry. Being world bronze medalists, they've been world silver medalists. Can, over the next 2 weeks, they improve and make further enhancements and tweaks to this free dance to put them back in the mix as potential world champions? So that concludes the ice dance event. Congratulations to all of the skaters and their teams, and we urge you to stay tuned to enjoy the women's free skate, which is the competition coming up next.